All right, hello everyone. Welcome to this very special live stream from the research vessel, the OceanXplorer. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you, wherever in the world that you are tuning in from. My name is Frances Loke, and I'm an educator at OceanX, joined by colleagues from the National University of Singapore, and very soon, friends on board the research vessel as well. It's now about 7:30 p.m. on board the research vessel, and we are so delighted that you've chosen to spend your Friday night with us to learn a little bit more about the first major scientific mission to a remote and largely unmapped region in the Indian Ocean called Monsoon Rise. If you have any questions along the way, things that you're curious about, or comments, please feel free to type them up in the YouTube comments for this live stream, and we will strive to answer them towards the end at the Q&A section. As a quick introduction, OceanX is a nonprofit founded in 2016 with a mission to explore the world's oceans and bring it back to the world. With the oceanographic research vessel OceanXplorer and its amazing crew, who you'll hear from in a couple of minutes, we have the privilege to sail across the ocean basins of the world to study the high seas and also the deep seas to learn about the largest habitat on the planet. While it covers most of the planet's surface, people are estimated to have only explored about 10% of it. And although it sustains all life on Earth by regulating the climate, providing nutrition, livelihoods, transportation, education, and so much more, it's so unknown that more people have actually been to outer space than to the bottom of the ocean. Today, OceanX works to unlock the ocean's sustainable potential with a dual focus on science and education. We partner with researchers, educators, and decision makers worldwide to explore uncharted waters, expand global ocean literacy, and translate knowledge into ocean positive action. And so I'm so thrilled for you to hear more from some of our very key partners at the National University of Singapore. Introducing Ja, who is the head of Outreach and Education Unit at the Chian Natural History Museum, as well as Associate Professor Huang Danwei, Deputy Head of the Chian Natural History Museum, and also the co-principal investigator of the expedition. Over to you, Ja.
Hi everyone, my name is Ja from the Outreach and Education Unit at the museum, and we're really excited to have you join us today for this very special live stream as we dive into the amazing research that we've been doing on board the vessel. So Into the Deep, Monsoon Rise brings together incredible researchers not just from the Chian Natural History Museum and Tropical Marine Science Institute from the National University of Singapore, but we also have researchers from NTU, Fiji, Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam, and we'll be meeting all of them shortly. So it's really a fantastic international collaboration. So for those who might be new to us, the museum is located at the National University of Singapore. We are a research institution dedicated to Southeast Asian biodiversity, and our museum features 2 floors of public galleries. But behind the scenes, we are a de facto national repository for zoological specimens, housing over 1 million specimens with state-of-the-art storage for wet, dry, and cryogenic collection. So just like the mission we're talking about today, the Chian Natural History Museum has been part of many exciting expeditions. So one memorable one was the South Java Deep Sea Expedition back in 2018, a 14-day journey exploring the unexplored deep seas off the southern coast of West Java, Indonesia. So there, our researchers collected over 12,000 specimens from more than 800 species, including sponges, jellyfish, mollusks, sea stars, worms, crabs, prawns, and fish. So they even discovered over a dozen new species and made more than 40 new species records for Indonesia. So now, to share more about the goals of Into the Deep and what this current mission is all about, I'm delighted to introduce Danwei. Danwei, over to you.
Hello, hi, I'm Danwei from the Chian Natural History Museum. A bit about the expedition. It is a 24-day mission to explore a largely unknown set of seamounts in the eastern Indian Ocean. This is about 1,600 kilometers south of Singapore, or around 800 kilometers south of Sumatra. It's between Christmas Island and the Cocos-Keeling Islands. Now, seamounts are underwater mountains that rise up high from the ocean floor. They are usually formed by volcanoes in the sea. Now, much of this chain of seamounts is uncharted. In fact, prior to this expedition, we didn't have an accurate understanding of how deep the summits of these seamounts are. So OceanX and the scientific crew will map the seafloor. They will also collect and study biological material, including environmental DNA or trace DNA in the water that could indicate the presence of specific animals and other organisms in the environment, microbes, plankton, and also other animals. Now, the aims of this mission are to gain a better understanding of biodiversity in the deep sea environment, to preserve and make available specimens collected for scientists globally to study them, and for the data produced from the mapping and collections to support marine conservation and sustainable ocean management. Now, it's indeed very exciting to hear about news of your work over the last few days, and I hope this expedition will inspire you to learn about the oceans and to protect marine life. Thank you. Back to you, Francis.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Danwei. All right, sorry for the technicality. Okay. So right now we're going to hand it over to you, Maddie. We're going to head on board the ship, and I'd love to be able to introduce our Science Program Director, Maddie Rodrigue.
Hi, everybody. My name is Maddie Rodrigue, and I am the Science Program Director at OceanX and the Science Program Lead here on the OceanXplorer. So where we're standing right now is actually on board OceanXplorer. So we're coming to you live from Monsoon Rise. You heard a lot of really amazing details about the focus of the expedition and all of the different scientific activities that we're working on together as part of this multidisciplinary and international scientific mission. But first, I'm going to show you a little bit of the technology that we have been using on board OceanXplorer, and you'll get to meet a few of the scientists along the way. So at the moment, we're standing in the submersible hangar. We have two submersibles on board OceanXplorer, Neptune and Nadir, and behind me is Neptune with a few passengers inside as well. The submersibles go to 1,000 meters depth, and you can see there's one pilot and two scientists that can dive in the subs. Now, the interesting thing that also Danwei mentioned is that we didn't know how deep this area was going to be because we didn't have accurate charts or maps. Actually, less than 26% of the entire world's ocean has been mapped. And so at OceanX, we aim to change that. So we decided to go out to this area to map it, and actually what we found is that it was too deep for the subs. So we couldn't actually use the submersibles along this mission. Still, it looks like they're having a nice time in our submersibles all the same. We're going to go into the busiest room on the vessel by far, and that's the wet lab. And inside the wet lab, we have so many different scientists working on all kinds of different things. You can see they're here now. Hi, guys. So they've been working on processing all the different types of specimen, all of the deep sea animals, all the environmental DNA samples right here in the wet lab. So every time the remotely operated vehicle or a deep sea lander comes up, this amazing team in here actually does all of the processing and all of the sorting and categorizing. So then everything is nice and organized to take it back to the museum. Thank you, guys. Next, we're going to go see our remotely operated vehicle. Now, this is really important because the remotely operated vehicle is our deepest diving subsea asset. So the remotely operated vehicle is actually a deep sea robot that allows us to dive to 6,000 meters. So about 90%, 96% of the entire ocean, this vehicle can reach. The ROV is called Chimera. It has two manipulator arms, and that's really important because on this expedition, we are sampling everything from geological samples to biological samples, so all kinds of crazy and interesting and unique deep sea animals. We are looking at environmental DNA. We are using an environmental DNA automated sampler on the front of the vehicle. But also really importantly, in addition to the scientific work that this vehicle can do, we have about 13 cameras that all film high resolution video so that we can go back and annotate the videos and actually tag the footage and have a real live feed of what's happening on the dive for the researchers in mission control, but also so we can go back after the fact and really contextualize all of the things that we're seeing in the deep sea. The deepest dive that we conducted for the ROV so far has been in Southeast Asia. The second deepest dive was actually on this expedition, down to 5,000 meters. So as I mentioned, all the video and the data is streamed live into mission control, and that's where we're actually going to go next and meet two more of the scientists on this expedition.
All right, and now let's head into mission control. Okay, so welcome to mission control, which has been really busy today with ROV operations having just ended not too long before this live stream. We are joined here by Dr. Tan Koh Siang, the Chief Expedition Scientist from the Tropical Marine Science Institute at NUS, as well as Dr. J.C. Mendoza, the Senior Research Fellow at the Chian Natural History Museum. Hi, J.C. and Koh Siang and Maddie. Thanks for joining us today. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, your area of study, and your role on this scientific mission, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Koh Siang, and I'm a Principal Research Fellow at the Tropical Marine Science Institute in NUS, National University of Singapore. I'm here actually to make sure that everything goes right. And so far, everything has gone well. Yeah, and maybe I pass it over to JC.
Excellent.
Hello,
Thanks.
hello. Thanks, Kosiang. Hello, I'm JC Mendoza. So I'm a senior research fellow at the Chian Natural History Museum in NUS. And my main role here is to back up the boss, of course, Kosiang. Aside from that, I'm also helping out with the day-to-day work here on the ship, looking out especially for the crustaceans because I'm a carcinologist. That's somebody who studies crustaceans. And also helping out with the photography and the preservation of the specimens that are brought up here.
Super cool. Thanks so much, JC. And actually, Maddie, what is your role on this expedition as well?
So on this expedition, like all of the expeditions OceanX conducts, I am the chief scientist from the OceanX side, but also our head of scientific operations. So that means that everything that the NUS and international research team dreams up that they would like to try, it's my job with the rest of our technical teams and the crew on board to make that happen.
Amazing. Thanks, Maddie. And so just to set the context for what's going on during this expedition, Maddie, how much of the world's oceans have actually been explored?
That's a great question. So we have actually mapped more of the surface of the moon than we have our own planet. And one of the really crazy statistics is that we have only mapped about 26% of the entire global ocean. So that's like basically looking at a blank slate of a map of our planet. And so even less of that has actually been visually explored. Less than 10% has actually been seen either with cameras or with human eyes or both. And so it's really, really important for us as an organization and with partners like NUS and all of the international teams on board to actually be able to conduct these expeditions and explore the deep sea to really collect data and also shine a light on the importance of the deep sea and also bring that back to the world through live streams like this, through classroom outreach, and through the media that we produce, and not just the scientific papers and the incredible specimen, but being able to actually say, hey, this area exists, it's here, it's really important, it's super important to sustain life on this planet, and to be able to then share that data with everyone.
Amazing. Thanks, Maddie. And so for Koh Siang, perhaps, why is this particular mission significant for you as a scientist, but also for the global community?
Yes, because this part of the world is really poorly known, and it's probably the first time that somebody has actually set eyes on the surface of these seamounts. And it so happens that the BBNJ, or what they call this High Seas Treaty, Biological Diversity Beyond National Jurisdiction, has recently just been ratified. And Singapore was one of the first countries to sign that treaty. So, well, we hope that Singapore can kind of pave the way towards trying to implement. How do we actually implement this treaty? By collecting the specimens, making sure that the data is available for everyone to study.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Koh Siang. And so maybe for opening this to the three of you, what were some of the things that you and the team have seen already on the mission, given it was the last day of operations and it's been such a busy time?
Well, I guess I'll speak first. Actually, this is not my first deep sea expedition, but one stark difference between this particular expedition and the past expeditions I've been is having access to an ROV. And the ROV actually is amazing in the way that it brings you right at the doorstep of these fantastic animals in the deep sea. So it's a really rare chance to get to see all these animals doing what they do naturally. Okay, and that's very important for a scientist because in the past when things do come up, they're already dead or dying, unfortunately.
Right.
But here we can see them behaving in the natural way, in their own natural environment. So there were a lot of things. Actually, it's all a jumble in my head right now. It's very hard to choose a favorite, but there are a lot of invertebrates, and invertebrates are amazing, and they come in different sizes and colors. Yeah, but I don't want to hog the limelight. Maybe I'll pass some.
Yeah,
the
no,
time
thanks so
to-
much, JC. And yeah, ocean exploration has evolved so much in the last century. I'm going to add some footage from the ROV as well to this live stream so everyone can take a look at what's been seen so far. But over to you, Ko Siang and Maddie.
Yeah, so I think for me, this is, I think, my 60th expedition on board running the science for OceanXplorer, and every expedition is unique. And one thing that's really stood out to me in this particular expedition has been this collaborative nature of the researchers coming from all different places, backgrounds, and countries, and coming together in the spirit of cooperation and collaboration, especially in the spirit of the High Seas Treaty, to really work together and put the pieces of this ecosystem together. And that's been really energizing for me and really amazing. And you need a lot of energy to study the ocean. You need a lot of energy to study the deep sea, especially because where we've been working, the weather conditions are not always so good as we've experienced on this expedition. And so when you have a team that's able to adapt and work together and really communicate and collaborate well and with so much joy and energy and excitement and expertise, when you have plans change, when something breaks, when you're saying, okay, I have to get to 5,000 meters and access the most remote parts of our planet, you have a willing and able team that also goes with you on every step of the way, even if the plan changes a little bit on the way. So for me, that's been the best part of the expedition.
Fantastic.
Well, for me, I think the real amazing thing that my impression so far is that the area here is full of sponges and sea cucumbers. These flying sea cucumbers that can swim, but at the same time crawl on the surface of soft sediment, and survive in these extreme conditions with very little food available, actually. So that's really amazing. Yeah, and to see them alive as well. I mean, and we've put down bait as well, and I think you can see on the video that we see amazing. Well, we didn't catch them, but we caught them on video, and there are large fish and sharks as well, plus little invertebrates, crustaceans as well. Unfortunately, they seem to be few mollusks. I work on mollusks, but anyway, yeah, it just has been just amazing. Yeah.
Thanks, Ko Siang. And just because people are asking, what's in the bait?
Oh, we use rotting fish. Yeah.
Sounds
Well,
delicious.
I mean, the animals use, because the environment is completely dark, right? So all the animals probably use chemical cues to be attracted to food. I think they use chemical cues almost completely. I mean, there are some bioluminescence there, but I think most of the time they are using chemicals to navigate and move around. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, it does take a large team, and teamwork makes the dream work when it comes to ocean exploration. So I'd love for us to be able to see who else is online at the moment. Let's see. So we have folks from the Media Lab who are also part of the science team on this expedition. So hello, friends in the Media Lab. Let's see. Let's start off with Connie. Connie, please tell us, maybe we'll just go around the table, but please tell the global audience that we have here who you are, where you're from, and also what you focused on during this mission.
My name is Connie Sidabalok, and I work as a researcher at National Research and Innovation Agency, BRIN, in Indonesia. And my research interest is in exploring the biodiversity of crustacean, all crustacean, including deep sea. And my role in this expedition, I forgot to mention. So I've got a particular group that I'm working with, and it's called isopods. So if you guys ever heard giant isopods, that feather look animal, or the scientific name is Batenomals, that's one of the animals I'm working with. And my role in this expedition is, as a researcher, so I'm doing the research. So being involved in the observation with the ROV and sorting specimens in the wet lab and some other stuff that we are doing for the success of the expedition.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you, Connie.
Hello. Bulan, hello. My name is Tyler Chung, and I'm a scientist from the Republic of Fiji. It has been such an honor and a privilege to be on OceanX and be part of the NUS teams here. I'm more interested in this expedition is assessing the biodiversity within the seamounts that we've seen and between the seamounts. And so far, using ROVs and the visuals and integrating sort of like a transact method, it has been so amazing. And some from the Pacific, it's just being with marine technology and its increasing rate and being able to collaborate with other scientists it's been so great to see that this is possible. And it's such a hope, it gives me so much hope for the future of our oceans, especially in the Pacific region. So yeah, that's for me. Thanks.
I'm happy to hear that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Thilapong Duangdi from Thailand. I am a lecturer at the Department of Marine Science, Faculty of Fisheries, Kasetsart University. I am interested in the fish larvae. I'm here for study plankton, phytoplankton and zooplankton, and focus on fish larvae.
Hello, my name is Viet Thanh Sơn. I'm from Hanoi University of Science, Vietnam National University. My focus on accreditation, and I'm here besides the research of accreditation, I also take part as a photographer to document the image of a specimen. Very glad to be here on OceanX. Xin chào.
Hi,
Yes.
Hi, I'm Dita Cahyani. I'm a lecturer at Biology Department, Faculty of Science and Mathematics, Universitas Diponegoro, Indonesia. I'm studying environmental DNA, so eDNA. So basically, we filter the deep sea water in a hope to get the trace of DNA that being left by the deep sea organism. So later on, when we do the assessment, we don't really have to have the real the organism, so we can just can identify them properly.
Fantastic. And have you all had a really great expedition this time around?
Yes, we are.
All right. Yeah, I was super glad to hear that. And thanks so much for sharing a little bit about your work and your experience. Well, we really want to be able to turn over some of the time to the audience's questions. It's so rare for us to have all this expertise on board. And so I'm just going to go through some of the questions that people have. Please feel free to keep the questions coming in the chat. We'll be able to answer as much of them as possible. All right. So maybe this is a question for you, Maddie. Apart from the scientists who we all see right now, who else is on board the ship? Who else supports this mission?
That's a great question. So we have a fantastic team here on board OceanXplorer. We have our crew members, our captain, the bridge officers, our interior team, our chef and galley teams, the engineers that literally keep the engines running and everything working, the lights on, our electrical officers, our science and technology officers responsible for all of the sensors and scientific equipment. And we also have a nurse that sails with us on board to make sure that everyone stays happy and healthy. And then we even have our technical team. So the people that are the ocean mappers and hydrographers that allow us to collect the high resolution data and create a seafloor map and maps of these seamounts for the first time. Our remotely operated vehicle, or ROV team specialists who fly and pilot and fix what breaks on the ROV and rescue things when they fall and all kinds of things. We also have our submersible team on board who, though we couldn't use subs on this time around, helped us with all of the deployments from everything from the CTDs to net tows to anything related to
I'll just stop you there, Maddie. What is a CTD?
Oh, I'm sorry. CTD. It's a conductivity, temperature, and depth sensor package. Basically, it's an ocean sensor package that you lift off the deck and send down through the water column, and you get data real time and different properties of what the water column is doing. All things like salinity, temperature, dissolved oxygen. It helps you track all of the different ocean water masses and currents. It helps you look at things like nutrients, upwelling, which is really important to sustain life around the area. And also could tell you the layers under which you might find different and interesting types of life as well. So yeah, so our technical team helps us operate that as well. And we have a fantastic team on board.
Thanks so much, Maddie. Amazing. And yes, personally, love all the crew. So there's a related question about the galley. What is food like on the ship? Maybe this is a question for everyone, right? So everyone in Media Lab, anyone in Mission Control, if you want to just share about your food experience and add tip to the chef.
Well, I can only say the food is fantastic. Water is good. Plenty of drinks. No alcohol though.
What about you, Connie?
What about you?
Oh, me? Oh, yeah, I like the food. I like the food.
Amazing. All
It's
right.
time to taste lots of different Western food. Like it. Yeah, you've got Asian, nice Asian food too. So yeah, thank you, chef and team.
Great, great. Okay.
Francis, we say that if you have a really good chef on your research vessel, then you leave a couple pounds heavier than when you started. And we have the best chef, and so we're all feeling it at the moment, except maybe our fantastic deck department, who has been working really, really hard lifting all of the heavy objects in the hot sun for us. So maybe they're the only ones that escaped the OceanXplorer 10.
100% agree. Yeah, the chefs are amazing on board. And I think it's so important that they keep everyone's morale up as well. So kudos to the team. We have a question here about kind of what the average day looks like, right, on these missions. So really important to get fuel for all the people on board. But in terms of like what runs through your day, what does the day look like?
Well, the day always starts before the day before. So we do have our once operations start, we have our science meetings where the whole scientific team meets up above deck in the media lab to discuss the program for the next day. Any issues that may have come up the previous day that need to be fixed. And then after that, there's a quick dinner. And then Kosyang and I and Matty will have to huff up 5 decks up to the bridge to meet with the captain and the rest of the senior officers of the ship to discuss the program for tomorrow. And then the day starts quite early for most of us. We're usually up by 5:30. And if it's an ROV day, for example, the ROV needs to be in the water by 6 a.m. And there's several hours that are spent going down, spending time at the sea bottom, and then going up. And then there's all sorts of other operations as well. So we actually have a daily schedule that is updated. And we even have a bulletin board, a whiteboard to keep track of the different stations that are being operated for that day. So it's a lot of different moving parts and a lot of people involved. And kudos to the chiefs here who make sure that things keep running smoothly.
Amazing. Thanks so much, JC. So people have been really appreciating the ROV footage we had earlier on. Someone's asking if we've seen ctenophores or comb jellies.
No, we haven't actually seen one. They may have floated by while we were descending or ascending in the ROV. And we haven't got any in the nets, in the plankton nets so far. So yeah, they are quite elusive, I think, around here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I think there were quite a lot of different species that were featured there. But does anybody know what shark that was?
So at the moment, we think it's a sleeper shark, but we're still trying to confirm with some of the experts back on shore. I will say that that's really exciting for us for the landers too, because getting the video data of deep sea elasmobranchs, especially in the Indian Ocean, you can probably count the number of observations in the Indian Ocean on one hand. So it's really, really rare. And because the Indian Ocean is so deep and so hard to access, it's really difficult to see footage of deep sea sharks. So for us, we've filmed a couple of lantern sharks, I believe, a couple, actually one sleeper shark that seemed to be the same individual following the landers around. I guess he really liked the bait. And then even a chimera. So that's always nice when the animal that the ROV is named after comes in for a visit. So we're
Yeah.
increasing the observations quite a bit for the Indian Ocean for elasmobranchs.
Amazing. Thank you. And people have noted the two little green lasers that come on in the ROV footage as well. Could you tell us a little bit about that and why it's important to have it?
Yeah, the green lasers actually, the two dots are 10 centimeters apart. And so that will give us a sense of scale when we are looking at the videos. It's very difficult to judge the distances and the sizes of things. Although the footage is really clear with 4K resolution, but trying to determine how big they are, how far are they away from the camera, how far, how near it is, it's quite difficult to estimate. So the laser pointer helps us in that sense to make sure that we know how big or how small it is, or what we're looking at.
Yeah, and just to add to that, that also tells us whether we can collect that animal or not, because we have very limited space on the ROV.
Good point. Good point. Thanks. And so really what happens when we discover a new species? How do we know that it's a new species? And what's that process like?
Want me to get it? Okay. Well, it can vary. It depends on the animal, I think. So most importantly, the taxonomist is crucial to this exercise. The taxonomist has to know the group well, okay? And depending on how well studied the group is, you can, instantly recognize an animal as a new species because it has, a very obvious trait that is different from all the other species that have been described before it. Oftentimes, though, it involves a lot of study still. Even though you are an expert on that group, sometimes the differences may be quite small or very difficult to appreciate, and that requires you to do additional research, not just reading up on articles, but actually probably visiting other museums and studying the specimens that they may have there. So I'd like to highlight the importance of natural history museums and natural history collections, because they are valuable resources for scientists like us to compare species that we collect from other parts of the world and help us be sure about our determinations on their identities.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, JC. Since you're all sitting in mission control, what actually goes on in this room? I know we control the ROV from this room, and maybe just behind you is really where we're looking at all the screens that the scientists will be looking at during when the ROV is in the water. But what else goes on in this room?
So mission control is, I like to call it sort of the central nervous system of the vessel, because all of the data that we're collecting, you can sort of stream live. So what we start with is obviously a map. I mentioned this before, but this is an area that's almost completely unmapped. I think there was one patch that had been mapped when somebody was transiting by on some vessel somewhere a couple decades ago. But that's all we had, aside from what you can see from satellite drive bathymetry, which is when you open Google Earth and you can kind of see the shapes that are in the ocean. And so the first thing that we do is we work with the mapping team, which is just around the corner over there. And the mapping team is mapping all night long. Unless we're doing other operations or other deployments, the mapping team will be mapping from about 7 p.m. till about 7 a.m. or even 6 a.m. when the ROV dives are happening. And they're collecting all of that data. They're also looking at life in the water column. So we have sonars that measure all of the life in the water column. It's called an EK80. Everything from really big things to really small things, and all of the layers, we can sort of see their acoustic signature. We're also measuring what's underneath the seafloor with a sub-bottom profiler. So not just the 3D sort of map of what the habitat looks like as it starts to take shape as these underwater mountains, but down to about 30 meters underneath the seafloor. What is the sediment made of? What does the substrate look like? And that really tells us a lot before we even put the ROVs and the cameras in, because we can kind of get a sense of what to expect before we dive. The other thing that we're doing is measuring the currents. So ocean currents are really important, and especially around seamounts, it's thought that there's really unique what's called upwelling, which basically means that water masses are moving up against the slope of the seamounts and bringing cold, rich, nutrient-rich, super full of food water to everything in the surrounding area. And so we're measuring the currents in and around these really special places as well. And so we get a picture of all of that, and when JC and Kosiang and I come in around 5 a.m. With our coffees and we look at what was mapped the night before, then we can sit down and actually pick where the ROV is going to dive. And we look at distances and slope angles of the mountain. And it's kind of like if you're going on a backpacking trip or designing a hike and you're trying to pick which trail you're going to be hiking. And in this case, our hiking bag is the ROV. And so then while we're looking and deciding the location, the ROV team is already awake, and they're already talking to the bridge, and they're already working on what's called a pre-dive checklist. That's getting the vehicle basically ready to dive. And then once that's complete, we're ready to dive. The big hangar door opens. The scientists on their shifts are setting up our data management and logging systems. They're getting their checklist ready for the dives. Everyone also has lots of coffee. And then we start the dive. And usually the dives have been anywhere between 8 to 12 hours long. So the researchers are also on shifts where they swap out, I think it was every 2 hours. Yeah, every 2.5 hours. So everybody, one, gets an opportunity to document and go on the dive with the ROV, but also everybody has to work together to make sure everyone else's sampling objectives are covered too.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And someone's curious as well about whether or not you've seen plastic waste on this particular mission, even if it wasn't one of the research objectives, but given there's so much attention on plastics in the deep ocean.
Yeah, on the first few dives, we thought this place was really pristine. There wasn't a scrap of anything human around, but in the end, we did see some pieces of little things, and also maybe a sheet of cardboard. But I think maybe altogether we just had kind of three pieces of human society's waste.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So I think this place is, I mean, it is very remote here, and that I guess this is what we can expect from this place as far as pollution is concerned. I think it's still pretty pristine, I would say.
Fantastic. Okay, now we've got a question from someone who asked about GPS tagging of specimens that were found in situ. Is there any way to get that location, and how? How does it work underwater?
Great question. Yeah, great question. So GPS actually doesn't work underwater, but we use positioning. So there's a couple of positioning systems that rely on acoustic tracking. So sound is our tool of choice when we're working underwater, sound and sonar. And so the acoustic tracking that we use is embedded into our remotely operated vehicle video logging system. And it comes with an event management tool, which basically allows us to just keep track of everything that we're seeing on the dive. So the researchers can literally hit a button in our platform and it will log the time, it'll log the latitude and the longitude of where the actual vessel is. And then also even all the way down to 5,000 meters, the exact position of the the remotely operated vehicle. So everything that's collected does have a timestamp, and it does have a geographical coordinate.
Great. Thanks, Maddie. Now, one other question we've got is, why does it matter that we know what's in the deep ocean? And this is for everyone.
Oh, why does it matter? Well, there's this saying, know thyself. And the ocean, the deep ocean especially, is a great is a great area on our planet. Most of our planet is ocean, and most of our ocean is deep ocean. And we've only, as Matty said, we've only begun to understand it. And the deep ocean is very important to planetary regulation. I think you may have heard from somewhere that the ocean is a carbon sink, is a very important carbon sink, and therefore it is very helpful in regulating our planetary climate. Okay, and of course there's all sorts of biogeochemical cycles that are taking place in which the deep sea is involved, right? So to understand the deep sea, one of the things that we can do is to look at the biodiversity of the deep sea, to look at the undersea terrain, right? So these are like square one, this is where we have to begin in order to understand this environment better, so that we can better protect and preserve it.
Well said.
Yeah,
Very
thank
well
you,
said.
Jason.
I have nothing to add.
Anyone in the media room would like to comment on why it's important to know what's in the deep?
I think I remember that if you want to love somebody, that you have to know them. So I think that's also apply for this biodiversity of the deeps.
Mhm. Wonderful, thank you. And so, like, with the OceanXplorer and all the different tools and teams behind this endeavor, ocean exploration has come a really long way. What are the challenges of exploring the deep today, in spite of all of these amazing tools?
Weather is the great humble.
Of course.
I think one of the big challenges I've found through my work here so far with OceanX is one, acknowledging that OceanXplorer and OceanX is equipped.
Oh, sorry, Maddie, we lost you there. We lost your audio. No, still can't hear you.
Did not hear us. Okay, to answer
You're
their
back.
steady
All right.
questions and really for the researchers to be able to be enabled and empowered to have access to the technology that we are very fortunate to have on board OceanXplorer. And one of the biggest challenges, I think, is we are starting to realize just how vast the deep sea and what can be found and the importance of the deep sea is, and it's changing, and our oceans are changing due to climate change faster than we can really keep up. And so the only way that we can really address that is by enabling the technology that we are able to utilize, enabling and sort of providing access in countries that don't necessarily have the same technological advancements or technology. And even if that starts here with training with us, there is a global need, I think, to be able to say, okay, we're working in the sort of deepest, widest, broadest part of our global oceans, and only a fraction of it has actually been explored. And most of the nations that border it, maybe 1 in 10 have access to a offshore research vessel, and 1 in 10 have access to a remotely operated vehicle. So how can we make access to deep sea ocean exploration and technology more equitable? How can we make data more equitable? And this is very much the spirit of the High Seas Treaty and the spirit of this expedition as well. So that's the biggest challenge. It's more existential, but weather is definitely a factor.
Weather has been kind the last couple of weeks, I hope.
Oh, we missed.
Oops. I hope the weather was kind to all of you in the last 2 weeks.
No.
No. Oh. Well, okay. Good to know. Good to know. Well, I think someone in the media lab wanted to answer this prompt too. Anybody on the challenges for this particular expedition, or?
Seasick.
So that's a great one, actually. I mean, we've got people who are curious about what you do about seasickness. So what have all of you done, tried, and know it works?
Well, for me, it's just having black tea, hot black tea, regardless of whatever time of day it is, and sea legs.
Medicine.
Just go with the flow, I think.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful. So I mean, given that we're just acclimatizing to all these different weather patterns, you know, I think the creatures that may be seeing the ROV, the subs, and other kinds of technologies for the first time, you know, there's a question about whether or not they react to that presence. And do they, like, in the footage that we get, you know, is that something that shows that they get disturbed by it, or how do they respond to the sound, to the lights, everything?
I think we know very little about how they actually respond. I mean, yes, I've thought about it. I mean, if the lights are actually on the animal and they have eyes, I mean, you would be blinded, right? As a terrestrial animal here. And I would say they would probably be, but then on the other hand, they don't react very much to the light. So, and we can't really conduct experiments to find out, you know, how they react. So this is one aspect that we still don't know much, you know, how they actually react to the light or the lasers that we are shining on them. Yeah, it's again another mystery that we need to solve. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
I will say that some animals are even attracted to the lights. So, for example, we have actually, this is great timing. One of these little sharks that you see on the screen there. For the first couple of dives, we would always see one of those little sharks coming into the ROV, and it was really cool. It would just come right up to the cameras like it was posing, and we had a really great opportunity to actually film it in its natural habitat and with what we assume are natural behaviors, but obviously it's very hard to know. And just recently, actually, on our last dive on the way up, we had a Dana octopus squid. So the squid that have the glowing eyes and the
Nice.
glowing flash bulbs on the ends of their tentacles, it came right in. Maybe it thought the ROV was another squid. I don't know, but it came right in to investigate. So we don't really know what the natural behavior is because we only know what we can see sort of with the tools that we're using. But you know, some some fish may swim rapidly away, but for the most part, we've seen everybody kind of just going about their business.
There
Nice.
have been some instances where sometimes because of the action of the ROV, kind of stirs up the sediment, and then the shrimp start swooping in, perhaps hoping to find a morsel to eat.
Yeah.
Okay, super cool. And so what are the kinds of lights that the ROV is equipped with? Is it white light, red light, RGB?
Yeah, so the ROV has both actually. So the ROV has both white light and red light, and it's the same with the submersibles. There are situations where OceanX has done work on bioluminescence, for example, and there we use ultra low light sensitive cameras. We basically put the vehicles completely dark. We have red light if we know that animals have demonstrated light sensitivity before. So, for example, if we're doing a baited stakeout and we want sharks to come in, then we will put the red lights on. We'll put bait on the front of the sub or the ROV, and that way we can basically try to interfere as little as possible. Of course, when you're doing a visual census survey like this, having really bright white light is really helpful, so we can actually contextualize the species and the environment. And so for these dives, you'll see the white lights from the ROV are used predominantly.
Okay, good to know. And just for everyone's awareness, because I'm seeing questions about it in the chat as well, people are not in the ROV. Yeah, people only go into the submersibles on board the vessel. But the ROV, the benefit of having an ROV is that you don't have to send people down to those depths where it's really cold, dark, and with very high pressure. But yes, why is that the case? Maddie, like, why does it matter that we have something that can go as deep as this ROV has?
Yeah, another great question. So with the way that we've designed the tools and technology here on the vessel, we really believe that it's important to bring humans into the environment that they're trying to study, and so trying to create the most immersive experience as possible. So while technology is advancing to support a lot of autonomous systems, robotics, we still always will have the cornerstone of the program being human-operated vehicles, so submersibles, because when you dive in a submersible, you see the ecosystem or the environment you're studying in a completely different way. Maybe you've studied it one way your whole life, and you take one sub dive and everything is turned on its head. But to that end, the submersibles that we have only go to 1,000 meters, and so the remotely operated vehicle, because its depth capability of going to 6,000 meters, is an incredibly complementary tool to the subs. Often in areas where we aren't so limited by how deep the water is that we're working, we have the subs and the ROV working together because they complement each other's skill sets so well. But with the remotely operated vehicle now, we can access down to 6,000 meters and truly access not the deepest part of the ocean, which is obviously the Marianas Trench at 11,000 meters, but most of the deepest parts of the world's oceans, which for us really unlocks the ability to, again, get into the environments that we're trying to study and understand so that we can protect them.
Wonderful, thanks, Maddie. And if folks could just kind of like pay attention to the ROV footage, you'll get to see the ROV being deployed into the ocean from the ship. And you'll notice that it's kind of connected to the ship with a cable. And so that cable or umbilical actually enables us to get live footage, right? So I see a question on whether there's any latency regarding sound or the footage that we receive on ship. Maddie?
Sorry, the question was?
Whether there's any latency regarding the sound or the footage that is received on ship. Basically live,
no,
right?
Yeah, it's essentially live. The craziest thing is the cable has about 6.5 kilometers of cable, that tether that you'll see in the video, and it has fiber optics inside. And so it's giving us everything, data, video, 4K video, everything live with no latency at all.
Amazing. What was the deepest dive on this expedition?
Deepest dive on that expedition?
Deepest dive we did was about 5,000 meters.
Wow.
That's more or less in the abyssal plain, right, where it's kind of flat, but deep. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, cool. Well, I think that's all the time that we have for questions for now, but I do want to open it up to everybody in Mission Control and the Media Lab. So what do you hope would result from this mission? Just something for you and something for everybody in the audience. Maybe Maddie, you can kick us off.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe we can start with our researchers in the Media Lab. What do you guys hope is an outcome, either personally or sort of bigger picture of this expedition and your experience?
I hope we'll get more biodiversity data from this area, of course, new species, new records, everything. And secondly, I will hope that for me personally, professionally, I will develop a new relationship, new networking with you guys, OceanX crew. And then, of course, to maintain a good relationship and networking with my partners from NUS, TMSI, and team. So hopefully there will be more collaborations between us in the future.
My hope is, with the High Seas Treaty being into effect and this mission being straight after the ratification, I think my hope is that this can be the standard or the baseline of every mission after that, especially in Pacific regions where we are lacking such marine technology. And one of the thematic areas in the High Seas Treaty is capacity building and the transfer of marine technology. So I'm really hoping that this is just the beginning of something greater for the future.
For me, I hope to study about the deep sea biodiversity because in Thailand it's really shallow. The Gulf of Thailand is only 40 meter depth, and the deepest is only 80 meter. So I want to study the pelagic ecosystem here.
For me, I hope we got some new species, but actually what I got so far, actually the biggest thing I got is experience to work with all the people here, with the NUS, with the network of collaboration with other scientists, and I hope we'll have to have something in Vietnam. Thank you.
Well, for me, I hope I can analyze the data and see a new thing from the DNA, but I really hope to find a new species. I hope somebody can name the two seamount maybe. But of course, the collaboration for us, we are from Indonesia, we very high in biodiversity, but this kind of collaboration is really needed, like with a different, skills and knowledge, I think. And OceanX is also comes to Indonesia several times, so I think I really hope that this is, as a continuous collaboration.
Fantastic. Thank you all. Over to you in Mission Control.
Well, I can only say that I'm really appreciative of all the help that I've received from the team. It's a pleasure and honor to lead the team here. It's been quite a while. I mean, it took us about almost 2 years to prepare for this, and everyone, put in their best. And I think we were prepared, but we still learned a lot of things. Indian Ocean is Indian Ocean, after all. There's still plenty to do here, and I hope there'll be more expeditions to come to help us understand what these guys are doing in the deep sea.
Like Kosiang, I'm also hoping for smooth sailing from here on when it comes to publishing the information that we have gathered. And of course, more collaboration with OceanX, with our partners in ASEAN and in the greater region. But most importantly, my hope is that what we are doing right now will inspire people who don't usually do what we do. People like you who are watching right now, especially the young children. We hope that what we're doing right now will inspire you to become marine biologists, to continue the tradition, this great tradition of studying our oceans and furthering the agenda of the human race, protect, be good stewards for our planet.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, JC. What about you, Maddie?
I have to say, I echo the sentiments of all of my now new friends and colleagues here. And I think for me, I really hope that this type of expedition, especially the spirit of collaboration and multinational cooperation, really does catalyze the next sort of round of high seas expeditions. And I think we've shown here that it is possible to bring people with different backgrounds and different disciplines and different areas of study together to go on a fantastic adventure, to brave weather and equipment malfunctions, and ultimately come out with an incredible data set and a better shared understanding of our planet. And I think that what we all can say is that we'd like to tell the story of this expedition, to bring that back to the world, to be able not just to say you can access the data and everybody can publish together, which is obviously very important, but also that we can all go back to our respective countries and share this experience, and especially with, as JC said, the next generation of ocean stewards, because the only way that people will be able to understand the importance of what we've achieved here is if we keep telling those stories. So that's my hope.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Matthew, and thank you all for sharing all about your different experiences and your hopes for the ocean and the future. I know for one that there's a lot of children on this live stream, so that's really great to hear. And really, I think to learn more about the expedition, stay tuned. Definitely follow us on social media at OceanX, and you'll be able to learn a little bit more about what's been going on in the last 24 days of this mission. A big congratulations to all the scientists and crew members on board the OceanXplorer. It has been such a crazy expedition, I'll bet. And we look forward so much to reading the papers and seeing the stories that come from it. So thank you all so much for joining this live stream. We hope that you've enjoyed it. And if you are based in Singapore or plan to visit at some point, do also check out the Chian Natural History Museum if you're interested to learn more about marine fauna and ecosystems in Southeast Asia. All right, well, stay curious and keep exploring. Thank you all.